holding tight and always there. Modim, modim, modim anachnu lach. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. It's not that I don't want a lot, or hope for more, or dream of more, but giving thanks for what I've got makes me so much happier than keeping score in a world that can bring pain. I will still take each chance, for I believe that whatever the terrain, our feet can learn to dance. Whatever stone life may sling, we can moan or we can sing. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. Truly blessed and duly grateful. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. There may be times when I lose the light and let my spirit sink, but I can't stay depressed when I remember how I'm blessed. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. In a city of strangers, I've got a family of friends. No matter what rocks and brambles fill the way, I know they will stay until the end. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. I can't stay depressed when I remember how I'm blessed. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. In a city of strangers, I've got a family of friends. No matter what rocks and brambles fill the way, I know they will stay until the end. I feel a hand holding my hand. It's not a hand you can see, but on the road to the promised land, this hand will shepherd me through delight and despair, holding tight and always there. Modim anachnu lach. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. It's not that I don't want a lot, or hope for more, or dream of more, but giving thanks for what I've got makes me so much happier than keeping score in a world that can bring pain. I will still take each chance, for I believe that whatever the terrain, our feet can learn to dance. Whatever stone life may sling, we can moan or we can sing. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. Truly blessed and duly grateful. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. There may be times when I lose the light and let my spirit sink, but I can't stay depressed when I remember how I'm blessed. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. a city of strangers. I've got a family of friends. No matter what rocks and brambles fill the way, I know they will stay until the end. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. There may be times when I lose the light and let my spirit sink, but I can't stay depressed when I remember how I'm blessed. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. In a city of strangers, I've got a family of friends. No matter what rocks and brambles fill the way, I know they will stay until the end. I feel a hand holding my hand. It's not a hand you can see, but on the road to the promised land, this hand will shepherd me through delight and despair, holding tight and always there. Modim anachnu lach. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. It's not that I don't want a lot, or hope for more, or dream of more, but giving thanks for what I've got makes me so much happier than keeping score in a world that can bring pain. I will still take each chance, for I believe that whatever the terrain, our feet can learn to dance. Whatever stone life may sling, we can moan or we can sing. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. There may be times when I lose the light and let my spirit sink, but I can't stay depressed.
Yes, it did. You're over enthusiastic. Karen's gonna light.
You're gonna have to do this part too. Yeah, okay. I guess I lit it too soon.
One of them or can choose your own adventure. We're going old school tonight.
You want to get rid of this?
Yeah. Little furniture moving.
Nobody talk. You're perfect.
Silence. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Temple B'nai Israel, both in person and online. It's great to see everyone here this evening. Let's turn and greet our neighbors with a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. You freezing over there? Oh, goodness. Okay, let's turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Let me hear you. Shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem, malachei hasharet, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh, hakadosh baruch hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, malchei hashalom, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem, malachei hasharet, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh, hakadosh baruch hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, malchei hashalom, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad.
We'll continue with Lechu Neranana on page 130.
Lechu neranena, yai dai 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 dai, ya Adonai, yai dai 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 dai, Naharia, yai dai 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 dai, Litzor Yishenu, yai dai 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 dai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation, from mountain to sea, hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai dai 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 dai, LaAdonai, yai dai 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 dai, Naharia, yai dai 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 dai, Litzor Yishenu, yai dai 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 dai. For all of the wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts, hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai dai 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 dai, LaAdonai, yai dai 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 dai, Naharia, yai dai 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 dai, Litzor Yishenu, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai.
We're on page 120 and 121, Kabbalat Panim. We welcome Shabbat with the lighting of candles. We call to come forward Karen Roth and Gary Ford to lead us in candles and Kiddush. Let's all rise together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotov, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik shel Shabbat.
Vahi Erev, Vahi Boker Yom Hashishi. And there was evening, and there was morning the sixth day. The heavens and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaro lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Let's take our seats. We're on page 127. Let's read responsively by paragraph. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. Together, on Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Let's turn to page 138. As we continue with the singing of Lecha Dodi, we'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On the final verse, we'll rise together, face the door, and greet the Sabbath bride.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela. Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Hishmianu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'litila Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor haberacha Merosh mikedem nezucha Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat techila Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ori, uri uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela. Boi v'shalom ater ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela.
We remain standing as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed, leolam vaed. Yadadai-dai-dai, 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 yadadai-dai-dai. In the middle of page 149, let's pray together in the English. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadita, otanu limadita. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokvenu, uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha leolam vaed. Ki ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We're on page 154 as we continue together chanting the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Let's turn to page 157 at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, together, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Next page, Mi Chamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר
On page 160, we continue with Hashkivenu.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Vehamidenu, Shomrenu Lechayim. Ufros Aleinu, Sukat Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
On page 162, we give thanks for the gift of Shabbat, the rest, the blessings that it brings to our lives as we continue with Vishamru.
Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. Vishameru la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam. Berit olam. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. Vishameru la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam. Berit olam. Beni uven bnei Yisrael oti le'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishameru bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat. Vishameru la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam. Berit olam. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. L'shameru la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam. Berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash. Shabbat vayinafash.
On page 165, on the bottom of the page, in an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer. Let's rise together for the Amidah HaTefillah on page 164.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai Open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishene Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atal hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom yehallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. On the very bottom of page 173. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things in space. On Shabbat we try to become attuned to the holiness of time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. On page 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God whom alone we serve in reverence.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tikapel. To hear
On page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words. Together, for the awareness of soul, our light within. For the world around us, so filled with beauty. For the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. On the next page, a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. The word shalom means peace, but it really means whole and complete. And as we take a few moments for our own internal meditations, find those holes within you that this prayer can make you WHOLE, whole yet again. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, יהיו לרצון
We now turn in our prayer books to page 371 as our thoughts turn to our loved ones, those who are in need of healing. Whether they are in need of physical, mental, or spiritual healing, we take them into our hearts at this time of prayer. Let's continue together in the middle of the page with our Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We are thinking of and wishing a refuah shlema, a complete healing of body, mind, and spirit, to Eric Adler, David Altner, Sydney Altner, Joe Brickman, Evan Bin, Laura Carlos, John Conway, Richard Corwin, Mark Edelstein, Mickey Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, and Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Richard Feldman, Eric Fisk, Sam Friedman, Albert Gart, Bob Gold and Carolyn Gold, Jennifer Gousset, Barbara Green and Buddy Green, Vicky Hano, Harriet Kaplan, Lori Cattleman, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Dr. Sonia Linky, Michael Lynch, Bob Mansfeld, Elsa Mikosh, Dolores Munsick, Ruth Poehler, Jane Rifkin and Jess Rifkin, Don Rolander, Liesel Schick, Jane Solomon and Stuart Solomon, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner and Scott Tanner, Fred Truax, Michael Verub, and Janet White. And all of you at home, please lift up the names of your loved ones, speak them aloud or in your hearts as we conclude, as we say,
Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. And if that's true, then we could expect in this week's Torah portion, Joseph's brothers, who are unwittingly standing before the brother they once sold into slavery, they might be in for some still frozen Stouffer's dinner, because it's going to be a rough time, we would imagine. Joseph now is the second in command in Egypt. He's somebody with a lot of power, a lot of authority. He's put his brothers through the paces since they've come to Egypt, and even though they don't know who he is because it's been years. And we think maybe, just maybe, Joseph is going to exact some payback, some revenge for him being sold into slavery all those years ago. But we know that's not the case. Joseph, through some tests, sort of finds out that his brothers have had a change of heart. They are behaving in a much better way. He has more confidence, more trust that they have transformed as people. They have bettered themselves. And so Joseph decides in that one shining moment, which we're going to read in just a moment, he's going to reveal himself. He's going to tell his brothers who he is, and they're going to have, hopefully, a moment of reconciliation. So if you have your handout that you picked up outside the sanctuary, we have our daf, Parashat Vayigash, Joseph and his brothers, with the idea being, do not shame. We'll see what that means. So we're in Genesis chapter 45, verse 1. Joseph could no longer control himself before all of his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone withdraw from me." So there was no one else about when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. His sobs were so loud that the Egyptians could hear, and so the news reached Pharaoh's palace. Joseph told his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still well?" But his brothers could not answer him, so dumbfounded were they on account of him. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come forward to me." And when they came forward, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. Now do not be distressed or reproach yourselves because you sold me hither. It was to save life that God sent me ahead of you." It's very nice. Joseph's being very diplomatic. I see Karen is skeptical as always on these questions. You don't believe in that family love, that dynamic in the same way. So this idea that all of a sudden all is hunky-dory, between the brothers, maybe a little tough, but some of the commentators are going to come in and sort of speak about what this moment really looks like for the family. And they're going to concentrate on this phrase, "Have everyone withdraw from me." Why does Joseph banish everyone in attendance during this moment of revelation? What's he worried about? What's he scared of, right? Because does not want the Egyptians to know his secret? Well, they're going to find out pretty quick, it turns out, right? Because he's sobbing so loud, Pharaoh can hear. So they're going to know what's going on. In fact, actually, the rabbis are concerned. They're like, what's he thinking? Because these are the brothers who already sold him into slavery. He's getting rid of all the witnesses. If they want to come at him again, no one's going to help him. So it might not be a good idea for Joseph to borrow everyone else from the building. So the commentators play with this a little bit. You can look at the next little section here, this next text. Another Torah commentator, Rashbam, sort of has his say. In the presence of all those surrounding him, he could now no longer restrain his emotions. He called all his personal servants even to leave the building. He didn't want to be emotional. Big pharaohs don't cry, like he doesn't want to see, they don't want to see all that emotion perhaps out of their leader. He's maybe worried about being embarrassed of all his emotion. So that's why he sends them out. Meh, it's an idea. I don't buy it. I think there's a little bit more we can mention here. The repeated references in our next text by Judah to the mental anguish experienced by his aged father proved too much for Joseph to maintain his composure. It kindled his sense of compassion also towards his brothers, and so that he could not restrain himself from weeping. In order to not make a public spectacle of himself in front of the people whom it did not directly concern, he ordered, "Remove everyone from my presence." Again, similar idea. It's really a nice thought. It's a touching moment that he's thinking about his dad, right? He hasn't seen his father in a long time, and that's really hard when you're separated, from your parents. He doesn't really know what's going on, and he knows that his father is suffering. He has that from his words with his brothers, that they've been pretty clear that the father has aged, a lot the past few years, a little bit more tired, a little bit more enfeebled, and he's sort of worried about his father, and just hearing all this stress, all this trauma was very triggering for Joseph, and so then he could not restrain himself, and again, wanted maybe a private moment and not have everyone witness sort of this very cathartic experience he was going to have with this reunification with his brothers. So this idea, and we have one more on the next page, from Rashi, actually. Actually, it's a little bit of a different idea. I think for Joseph, the commentators think maybe he's embarrassed about his own emotions. He's worried about looking weak. He's worried about looking vulnerable in front of the Egyptians, and that's why he needs everyone out. But these next texts have sort of a different idea, that it's not about his honor he's concerned about, sort of his standing, the way people view him. It's actually about how people view his brothers. That's what he's worried about. So Rashi comes in and says, Joseph could no longer control himself, etc., etc. He could not bear that the Egyptians should stand by him, witnessing on how his brothers would be put to shame when he made himself known to them. Because one would think they'd feel bad. They'd feel guilty. Judah had already sort of declared that they sort of felt bad about what happened before to the brother that they didn't know still existed, that was still alive, what they did to Joseph, that they felt sort of bad about it, and that's why they wanted to save their youngest brother, Benjamin, from having a similar fate. So this idea that they felt bad enough already, and he didn't want other people to see them sort of in their shame. He wanted to protect them from sort of having that spotlight glaring on them. You did a bad thing. You did wrong. He wanted to sort of spare them that. And so Radak, very similar, right? After Joseph had finished weeping, he told his brothers, I am Joseph. He had to tell them twice, right? Because they were dumbfounded. They have no idea, remembering that they had sold him into slavery, and now they can't face him. You ever do something so bad to somebody, you don't want to run to them the next day, or vice versa. It might have been some sort of problem, whatever it was, and maybe it passed, but you're still sort of embarrassed to look them in the eye the next day. And this, was a big one. This is a big transgression. And so one might think they would have some trouble looking at their baby brother in the eye after what they did to him. Maybe it's water under the bridge, Joseph. You remember that time we sort of had some fun and we, threw you down into a pit and, sort of sold you. It doesn't come off well at Thanksgiving dinner, like this story. It's not one that you want to retell over and over again as a family. And so perhaps they didn't want to have that moment and they were really unable to say, it's hard to let bygones be bygones. Who knows what's going to happen? And then I had another little bolded passage here about this, come forward, come to me. Joseph said to his brothers, come forward to me. He saw that they recoiled. I am Joseph. We're in trouble now. They're a little worried what's going to happen. And so that's why he has to say, come forward to me, because now he realizes they feel really bad. They're scared. They're worried. And so he speaks to them kindly with gentle language, sort of reassuring them, it's okay. If I'm Joseph, don't worry about what happened. God sent me here for a reason, whether, again, he believes that or whether or not he's just saying that to help his brothers feel a little better about what happened. He's trying to do something to make them feel just a little bit better. Put them at ease a little bit. What a good brother, again, showing sort of that sibling dynamic. Brothers in the book of Genesis don't always get along very well, as we might have noticed the past couple months reading Genesis. Cain and Abel, not a good start. Isaac and Ishmael didn't really get along. Jacob and Esau, not so much. And so we have a lot of fraternal rivalries in Genesis. And so here you have Joseph almost coming full circle. Unlike Cain, he doesn't take a rock and sort of smash his brothers, even though goodness knows Joseph might have had a gripe, but instead he's trying to reconcile. He's trying to make things better. He's trying to move from brokenness to wholeness in this moment. And so our last sort of piece here is this is from Maimonides. And Maimonides, is a codifier of Jewish law, right? He wants to explain to the people how we're supposed to live our lives through the Jewish texts of the Talmud, of the Midrashic traditions, of the legal codes. Maimonides sort of has this idea that when we think of really big transgressions, right? We think maybe of the Ten Commandments, think of murder and adultery and theft, But Maimonides says, there are other sins as well that even though they might be seen as lesser, they're still really problematic. And even so much so that it might cost you your place in the afterlife. It might cost you your place in the world to come. And so if we see that very final passage here, and there are lesser transgressions, that one who makes a practice to violate them has no share in the world to come. And one of them, of the many he lists, says the one who shames their friend publicly. Because this idea that if we go out of our way to embarrass somebody, to humiliate somebody, to cause them disgrace, that in Jewish tradition that's seen as such a huge transgression because it is akin to a murder in Jewish tradition. Not literally, but certainly metaphorically, that you sort of damage their lives, you damage their reputation, you maybe make it unsustainable for them to be in a community, to maintain their job, to live their lives as they would normally do, because you're calling out their transgression in public, you're shaming them in front of a community. And the rabbis say, don't do that. That's not nice. It's okay to give someone a tochacha, a rebuke, we call it, but the idea is you do that in private. You take someone aside and say, hey, this might not be great. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't say that, whatever it might be. But you take them aside. It's not to embarrass them publicly, because once you do that, the reputation is permanently damaged. And so here they're looking at the idea of Joseph saying this, he's being a model of that. He's not embarrassing or humiliating his brothers in front of all the Egyptian community. He's keeping it private. He's taking care of it, because now he's convinced that there is a possibility, right, of repentance. There's a possibility of teshuvah. There's a possibility of transformation. And in that moment, it's really powerful because then they embrace and they're back as a family again. Does it mean that it never happened? No. That's still there, in their relationship. You can't erase it. But what you can do is to help create a better environment for people. You can help them find a better path through forgiveness. And part of that is to not embarrass them, don't hurt them publicly. Because once you do that, it's hard to recover, according to Jewish tradition. So that's why it says here that's why it's really a very, even though it might be viewed as lesser of a transgression, it's one that really is harmful for the future, for ourselves in the future, as well as the person who is hurt. And so I think it's really a great lesson that, there are sometimes times when we might feel wounded, we might feel hurt, and it's okay to take a person aside and say, hey, this happened, and you can sort of resolve it privately, but to try our best not to denigrate, to embarrass somebody publicly, because when we do that, it can cause so much damage to that person and then to ourselves also in the future. And so like Joseph, I think we should always take that care to show love, to show kindness, to show compassion to people, even those who have wronged us, and try to create a better path forward. Shabbat Shalom. Let's now turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu kor'im, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated. Let's turn to page 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. We now think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. We are in the Shloshim period for the memory of Joan Keller, our member. We send our condolences out to the whole Keller family on this loss. And also of Leo Weintraub, husband of Ruth Weintraub. We send our condolences to their family as well. And we think of those who passed away during this last year. Deborah Nader, Ted Ross, Helen Roth, Ruth Jean Oberlander, Mark Enfinger, Alan Beer, Judy Guy Strickland, Carolee Pizzuti, Elaine Miller, Ethan Perry, Judy Fine, Beverly Rosen, Adele Daniels, Robert Pizzuti, Lily Singer, Shelley Foreman, Myron Pulfrey, Robert Sheldon, Beatty Rosenbaum Madnick, Shirley Botkin, Jack Moss, Linda Fine, and Sid Bolin. And we also think of those who died at this season in years past. We're observing the yurtzeit this week of Melvin Abrams, William Edelman, Myron Aarons, Louis Ballo, Bessie Broder, Riva M. Chorost, Saul Cohen, Annalise Derry, Hilliard Fiersheen, Morris Fox, Harold Herman Galley, Simon Goodman, Alice Gruppen, Sarah Kalicka, Alice Carlin, Jake Claddle, Edward D. Kroll, Leslie Mason Lawrence, William Lopatin, Phyllis Lovitz, Eugene M. Lynn, Abraham N. Malkin, Caroline Mansfeld, Samuel Newmark, Frederick Orengel, Andrew Pollock, Henry Rosenblatt, Bert Rosenthal, Nathan M. Rothstein, Murray M. Schwartz, Isidore Schwartz, Harold Seltzer, Violet Schneider, Barbara Stein, Joe Stern, Agnes Radin Thomas, Henrietta Tischler, Fern Winokur, and Francis Wolfe. Is there anyone else in the congregation saying a yurtzeit, Kaddish for any reason? On page 598, let's rise together for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'gala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudisha barichu Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world, as together we say, amen. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to invite to come forward one of our temple co-presidents, Nina Wachowski, for a few temple announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi and Cantor, for the wonderful Shabbat service. Maria, thank you for playing the piano. I love to hear it, though I do love the guitar. I want to thank Keith, my husband, for running the video feed tonight, so you guys were able to see it. People who we don't always see, they're behind the scenes. I'd like to thank Al, Sonia, and Manny for all the hard work they've done at our facility, especially this week with the rummage sale going on. Let's see, on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. is Rabbi's Torah study. He teaches it in person, but there's also a Zoom link if you guys would like to Zoom in and participate in that. After this Tuesday's session, there's going to be a little break until after the new year. Sunday is the last day for the rummage sale. There is still some cool items left. It opens up at 8:30 and it closes at 3 p.m., so come on down and support the temple, find some treasures. Please mark on your calendar that on December 24th and December 31st, we're not going to have in-person services. They're going to be on Zoom, so watch your emails for the link and the password. I'll call the office and they can give you the either phone to call in or the passwords for your computer. I'd also like to thank everybody who participated, supported, and helped set up last Sunday's event, TBI's Got Magic. Or the magic of TBI, I can't remember the name, but it was a great event. We had it in here, we had a magician, we had about 100 people, we had some dinner, we had some fun, and it was a tremendous success. So thanks to all of the volunteers. Coming up on January 29th is, I believe, the second annual Rabbi Daniel Treiser Memorial Poker Tournament. It's gonna be on a Saturday night. The doors are gonna open up at 6 p.m. with the first shuffle at 6:45. Everybody knows how much Rabbi Treiser loved to play poker, so if we can all come out and kind of celebrate his memory and have a good time, that would be great. I definitely will be there. It's one of my favorite events. And also, I would just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and watching, and I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for those great announcements. And now, we have a lot of, I guess, good things coming up. It's pretty exciting. A lot of fun things coming in January.
Hey, David, why don't you come take the cover off the challah and we can wish you a happy birthday and then bless our challah.
Yes, we have a birthday boy among us today. So that'd be nice to have David come up so we can wish him happy birthday.
Send our wishes in David's direction. Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. I hope it's a wonderful birthday.
Yay.
And in honor of your birthday, we have challah and cookies. And for Shabbat, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yai-da-da-da-da-da-da, yai-da-da-da-da-da, yai-da-da-da-da-da-da, 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 yai-da-da-da-da-da, yai-da-da-da-da-da-da, Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Have a great night. You can now adjourn to the lobby for cookies.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.